Hi, and welcome back. Today we're here at the beautiful Anza Borrego Desert State Park, one of the largest state park in the California State Park system. Right now, this time of year, the park is going through its super bloom from, again, a wetter than average winter. And so this is a short introductory video to the Anza Borrego Valley, and we're going to introductory video to some of the other sites we're going to see. Now, the Anza Borrego Desert is part of a larger desert region known as the Colorado Desert, and the Colorado Desert is actually a sub-region of the Sonora Desert, which covers much of southern Arizona, where it's dominated by saguaro cacti, the famous very large cactus. But this region is a little different. It's certainly a lot hotter and drier. During much of the year, this looks very, very barren. There's hardly anything growing. Because unlike the Arizona portion of the Sonora Desert, this area only gets really its rain in the winter, okay? Maybe on a very, very random, rare summer thunderstorm, but mostly only in the winter. Whereas in Arizona portion of the Sonora Desert, there's two wet seasons, one in the summer and one in the winter. And it sits slightly higher in elevation a little bit, so it's a little less brutally, dangerously hot in the summer. You do not want to be here in the summer. So, a few of the dominant plants that you can see here, the spindly plant that you see here, which is pretty much common across the hot deserts of the Southwest, the Sonora Desert, all the way through the Chihuahuan Desert of, the Texas, West Texas, and so over a big area. This is a very dominant plant. It has red flowers, red-tipped flowers at the very tippy tops, which are very popular with hummingbirds. And some of the other plants that you can see here, this one, you can see a barrel cactus right over there. Okay, right over there. And this desert barrel cactus is known for having a reservoir of water. But don't try to survive in the desert, though, by cutting open a barrel cactus, okay? Because it's extremely thick. You would need a sharp machete and be hacking away at it for a long time. And all the moisture is held in the pulp of the plant, and you have to squeeze it out, so it really wouldn't be worth it. There's also a lot of cholla cactus, like this cholla cactus right down over there, okay? And there's also some other cactus called beaver tail, which is kind of this kind of gray-green. They have big, beautiful purple flowers. We might see some with their flowers, with their blooms today. We'll see. But off in the distance over there, you can certainly see the main part of the Borrego Valley, where there are oases that get their origin from streams that begin higher in the mountains, where it's cooler and wetter, and nourish an oases of California fan palm trees, Washingtonia foliifera, and which are really kind of these little desert oases are the only places in the state where you do find wild palm trees. Okay, so with that, we're going to go down there. We're going to take a look at a couple other locations to see some desert wildflowers, and so let's come along. Hi, and welcome back. So here we are in Anza Borrego Desert State Park again. So right now we're at kind of the north end of town along a road called Henderson Canyon Road. This is probably one of the best places to see some of the super bloom here at Anza Borrego. Now, I neglected to mention where the name Anza Borrego gets its name. So Borrego is actually Spanish for sheep. This is then and now, even despite being an endangered species, this is one of the better places to see the desert bighorn sheep in the wild. Hopefully we'll see some at the Palm Canyon Trail today. If so, I will definitely take some video shots and include it in this video. But the Anza part, of course, Juan Baptista Anza was the first Spaniard who basically made an overland journey to California from central Mexico, whereas all the other missions were established along the coast, or traveled up and down the coast. So that's where the name comes from. Now, like I said, this whole area that you see behind me is really just a barren, empty field of sand for most of the year, and even in years where there hasn't been really much rain. But again, when we do have the super bloom conditions, with higher than average rainfall, this is really one of the best places to see. Again, Henderson Canyon Road is an east-west trending road on the north side of Borrego Springs, past the big rust iron sculptures of dragons and so forth that you see on the way here, which I do definitely recommend stopping by if you get the opportunity. But one of the most common wildflowers, the ones that you see here, these are all desert sunflowers. Okay, it's the one that you see across all these fields here. Another smaller yellow flower, which you actually see a little bit more commonly, just kind of all over, is called a desert dandelion. I don't actually see them here, but I will point those out later, as well as desert chicory. These white flowers that you see over here, I can't see that over here. There's a whole bunch of white flowers. I'm going to take some pictures, but you can see a few over there, over in that corner. Those are dune evening primroses, and they do grow on sandy soil. And you also do see a little bit of pink here, okay? The little bit of pink clusters, that's sand verbena. And sand verbena, again, is also, like the name suggests, will grow on sandy desert soil. But you also find sand verbena quite commonly along coastal dunes as well. Along the California coast, you could find them growing on some of the coastal dunes. So a little bit more about these wildflowers. You're definitely seeing a lot of painted lady butterflies flying around. You're also seeing quite a few of these sphinx moth caterpillars. And I did take some pictures of some. I will include it in this video. But sphinx moths are this kind of moth that almost look a little bit like a hummingbird, or vaguely similar to a hummingbird. And but as caterpillars, they're munching on all of these. So they're basically, it's kind of a little past the peak of these wildflowers. When I was here 2 years ago for the super bloom camping, it was right at the perfect peak, but it's still really amazing. It's the second to last weekend of March, and there are a lot of these sphinx moth caterpillars, which will then be in turn eaten by some raptors, some birds of prey that will be coming here soon and gobbling up these caterpillars. So, perfect example of a food chain. Okay, so the wildflowers are eaten by the caterpillars and are eaten then, of course, by the hawks. Like I said, again, they're kind of winding down, but the great painted lady butterfly migration of 2019, I'm looking at dozens of them right now as we speak, and also there's some bees around here too as well. So we're gonna make 2 other stops here at Anza Borrego and go check out a couple others. Our next stop is a place called the Desert Gardens. We're gonna see hopefully some beaver tail cactus blooms and some more Ocotillo, and then probably make one more stop after that. And then we're gonna go to the Palm Canyon. So with that, signing off, and I'll see you in a little bit. And here we are at our last stop, and to look at these desert lupins here. These purple flowers on these long stalks. Lupins are very abundant wildflowers. There's many different species. They're found across many different environments. They're certainly one of the more common wildflowers one can find in the wildlands of most of coastal California. There's species of lupins that grow higher up in the mountains, but this is a desert lupin here. In this particular spot, they are quite abundant. This is on the road, the dirt road going to the Desert Gardens. And so we might actually see a vehicle or two coming down this way. And of course, here's some more desert dandelions and the Fremont's pincushion. You also see a lot of phacelias. Phacelias are also a very abundant wildflower. These are the ones that actually have flowers that are kind of shaped a little like a caterpillar like that, or kind of look like a scorpion, I guess. Again, a lot of painted lady butterflies here. I really want to show, however, one of the most abundant shrubs you find pretty much across all of the Southwest's hot deserts, from the Mojave to the Sonora and everywhere. And that, of course, is this creosote bush here. This is by far the most common shrub that you find. It's really kind of an indicator species, as you know that you're in a hot subtropical desert, basically, as opposed to a cold high desert where that is more dominated by big sagebrush. Okay, and they have these small little yellow flowers and these waxy, almost triangular shaped leaves. And what's really interesting about creosote bush is that in some places in the Mojave there are these rings of creosote that are actually technically the oldest species or oldest living things in the world when you factor in the fact that they make clones of themselves. They're like a central plant, and then they basically make the roots create suckers that come up and create new clones. So there's actually some of these clone rings that are up to about 11,000 years old, so even older than the bristlecone pine trees. But anyway, so here's some lupins, a lot of the painted lady butterflies, and with the pincushion and the desert dandelions and the phacelias, these small caterpillar-shaped blue flowers. So with that, you can actually see some of these are also turning into pods. The seeds of the lupins are actually pods. So they're actually a legume related to peas and beans. With that, our next stop and last stop at Anza Borrego is we're going to take a hike in the Palm Canyon and see the Palm Canyon oasis and hopefully see some desert bighorn sheep. So with that, I'll see you then. Hi, and welcome back. Here we are at the Borrego Palm Canyon, as you can see here. So this is one of many oases found throughout Anza Borrego Desert State Park. So the dominant tree that you see growing here is the California fan palm. It's the only native palm tree. Before the Spanish came, there were no palm trees along anywhere in coastal California. They've only been found in these natural oases. This particular species, the Latin name is Washingtonia foliifera. And a few of the smaller ones are ones that have grown back after some flash floods that occurred back in 2004. And so these oases, they usually find them in a couple of different types of places, either where there have been some, where there's higher mountains, as you can see way off in the distance, elevations that get a lot more precipitation, snow, permanent streams, and basically nourish, bringing water down here to this elevation throughout the year. Okay, places that are where groundwater naturally comes to the surface. You also find a lot of these palm grove oases in various places along the San Andreas Fault. For example, in the Ocotillo Valley, there is a Ocotillo Valley Preserve, which has also a lot of these palm grove oases. And so there's some other kind of plants that you'll also find growing here. You'll find some Fremont cottonwoods, and but the taller palm trees are a little bit further back, and that's where we're about to head right now. So we might still see some desert bighorn sheep. There's no guarantee. If I do see some, I will definitely take some pictures or some footage. And if not, I will show you some footage that I took of them 2 years ago when I was here last time there was a super bloom. So with that, signing off, and I'll see you soon. Hi, and welcome back. I wanted to make one last short video as part of this series after the journeying, checking out all the wildflowers into the super bloom in Anza Borrego. And before I head home on this Monday, I wanted to go on a hike to Kuya Maka Peak. This was formerly thought of as being the highest peak in San Diego County, but it actually turns out it is the second highest, just slightly underneath, below the very highest, at about 6,500 feet above sea level. And so, most of the mountains here in San Diego County are not as high as the mountains such as Mount Baldy in the San Gabriel Mountains, or San Jacinto Mountain, or San Gorgonio. These are all mountains that are over 10,000 feet, San Gorgonio is actually over 11,000 feet, the highest in Southern California. But here, this mountain is only 6,500 feet. But yet, nonetheless, it is high enough where you do get snow and conifers. We're just a little bit below the peak, so I'm guessing, what, about 6,400, and there definitely are a lot of patches of snow here. Actually, where I was staying in my Airbnb in Julian, my hosts said that only a month ago, with the last big snowstorm or weather system that came in, it snowed about 10 inches where they live, and they showed me a picture, and it lasted on the ground in Julian, that small town of Julian, for about a week. But over here, that's certainly not the case over there anymore. But up here, again, over 6,000 feet, there are patches of snow. And the very highest points of these mountains do have conifers, as you could tell. These conifers include sugar pine. This is a very tall sugar pine. There's several white firs behind me. There's also a lot of incense cedar and Jeffrey pine, as well as a black oak. These are black oak leaves here. So this is a common mountain oak, very similar to like the red oaks that one would find in the eastern part of the U.S. Yeah, these are very similar, pretty much a lot of the same species that one would find in other mountains in Southern California, as well as in the Sierras. So sugar pine, white fir, Jeffrey pine, incense cedar, and then the deciduous black oak. So with that, that basically wraps up this video series. So we're going to start, I'm going to be hiking down and then heading home and uploading this onto my channel very soon. So with that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.